Former Tony Blair spin doctor Alastair Campbell let off an explosive rant at Prime Minister Boris Johnson on LBC this morning as huge allegations emerge from former aide Dominic Cummings. Cummings made a series of allegations against Boris after he attempted to blame Cummings for leaking texts to James Dyson. But in a ferocious undressing of the Prime Minister and the government's credibility, Campbell branded Johnson a sleazebag with no moral compass and called for a Labour government to clear the cesspit. Blair's former right-hand man went on to question the truth of the claims that Boris has been forced to pay for renovations of the Downing Street flat himself, a scandal which has swamped Johnson for months, and demanded evidence of this happening. Campbell focused on the changing relationship between Boris Johnson and Dominic Cummings. He said, "What you've got is a guy who a few weeks ago, when he did his little Barnard Castle trip,
Johnson used how much political capital with his pathetic little cut and paste text saying, 'He's a family man, he's done the right thing, let's move on.'"
That guy, Cummings, is now saying Johnson is a liar and Johnson is essentially broken the law. Campbell added, "That's the equivalent you should be thinking about." He was then asked by presenter Matt Frey when will the saga end, to which Campbell replied, "I hope it ends with a Labour government getting rid of these sleazebags and getting this cesspit cleared out." And in a damning brand of the Prime Minister, he said, "This is what happens when you elect a Prime Minister without a moral compass." What is Johnson doing today, running around trying to deal with this situation entirely of his making? His judgment to bring Cummings in, his judgment to let Carrie use Tory party donors' money to do up the flat. And in a stinging conclusion, Campbell said, "And by the way, they're now saying Johnson has paid for this. Well, show us the proof, because I don't believe them." Read more. Boris Johnson versus Dominic Cummings poll. Who do you back as Roe erupts over number 10 leak? Twitter users were quick to react to Mr. Campbell. One wrote, "The man who served Tony Blair. A prime minister with a moral compass." Another added, "I wonder what direction the moral compass is pointing when one reminds Mr. Campbell of the war in Iraq, thousands of civilians and soldiers dead." A third person wrote, "The irony of Alastair Campbell talking about having a moral compass." Prime Minister Boris Johnson has come under huge pressure over the last few days after he accused former aide Dominic Cummings of leaking text messages between the PM and British business owner James Dyson from March last year. The texts were in relation to a ventilator deal Boris Johnson was trying to secure as the country was engulfed by a shortage of breathing equipment at the height of the pandemic. Within the texts, James Dyson requested a change to the tax system which would see workers returning to the UK be penalised by the tax system.
Johnson changed the system to avoid this happening.
But former aide Dominic Cummings categorically denies he had anything to do with the leak of the messages in a blog post to his website, but went on to fire back a separate allegation that Johnson wanted Tory donors to secretly pay for the renovation of his number 10 Downing Street flat.